Hello and welcome to another edition of Tech Bites with Ron Nutter. Since my last post on the website, part of my Raspberry Pi packages have started arriving. I've gotten the card itself and some of the items that I've ordered. The main thing was one of the memory cards. So what I'm going to walk through today is actually getting the software installed on the card so that when the power supply and the video cable and the keyboard and everything else that I'm waiting on shows up, which should be in another day or two, that I'll have that ready to go. So what I've already done in the meantime is downloaded for my Mac, and you'll see the application come up here in just a second when we scroll down through the menus, the RPI SD card builder. In this case, at the time of this recording, the current version is 1.2. This is one of the ways that you can get the Linux distribution that you're going to use installed on the card. You can look at doing the Linux DD command. You can use the Windows process to get it created, and depending on the response I get from everybody who's watching this, I may or will go through those, and probably will just for my own benefit. So at this point, I've already got that downloaded and installed, and I've already got the Raspbian binary downloaded, and I've got it in a specific directory where I'm putting all the Linux distributions that I'm going to use for my Raspberry Pi card. So we'll start the process by starting up the SD card builder. And it's going to ask us to choose the image. So what we'll go through and do is I'll shift to the directory where I've got the images. And what we're going to look at is we're going to do this one right here, which is the December 16th edition of Wheesby Raspbian. And we'll go ahead and select that and click choose. Now it's going to come up and ask for the SD card. So I'll go ahead and plug in the SD card, although it could have been done in advance. And this way, we've got it set, ready to go. And if we go over here, we'll have confirmation. And you can see where it says untitled. So that's all set, ready to go. So we'll tell it to go ahead and continue. And it's going to verify that this is the disk. And it's going to pick the one based on the SD card that it's seeing. So we'll go ahead and click OK. And then it's going to ask you on the Mac for your admin password. And I'll get that entered. And this is where the next step is going to say it's got to eject the card. Normally this would be a bad thing, but in the case of what it's doing here, and see it's already got it dismounted because you can't see it there anymore, it's going to have to talk to the card directly. So we've got to tell it, in this case the system has already ejected the card on its own. We'll click continue. And now is where you have to sit here and wait, because I clicked on this and all you see, there's not really a status bar that you're used to with some applications. And if we go over here and you click about new application, this is all it tells you. So you'll kind of have to just grin and bear it here for just a little bit. It takes a few minutes to get started, and then it will just walk through the process, and it shouldn't really take that long. Okay, in the interest of time, I paused things briefly. So now, between what you're seeing, the little icon popping at the bottom of the screen, it's saying, hey, there's a message up here, you need to deal with it. It has completed. Now, I paused the recording briefly because I wasn't sure how long it was going to take, because I've done this a few times, but as we all know, things can kind of change at times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click OK, and then we're going to remove the SD card. Now, since I don't have my Raspberry Pi totally ready to go yet, what I'm going to do is take the opportunity to let you see what is actually on the SD card itself. So let's go back and get the card plugged in. And when I started this, the card was totally virgin, had never been used before. So now what you're seeing on the screen is what you can expect to be on the card when it gets installed. So you've got looks like a couple of different image files. You've got a boot binary, and I'm going to have to learn what a lot of this is, because I've dealt a little bit with Linux, but not a whole lot. So at this point, we've got an image that appears to be ready to go. And I'm going to I've got some other cards that I'm going to work with, because what I want to try is see some of the other Linux distributions that are out for it, and just to kind of get a feel for it. Because what I'm eventually going to do as well is have one boot SD card set up, just a plain Jane generic, just so that I got kind of a virgin canvas to deal with. And then as I walk through some of the other things that we're going to be looking at, I'll have one that's set up, say, specifically to be a DHCP server or an NTP server, several things, until I kind of figure out where I want to go with where I'm going to be using this in my daily work, and just have a couple of different varieties on things. So I'm going to stop the recording at this point. Appreciate your time in listening to this, and the next installment will be when I get the power supply and the keyboard and everything else that I'm waiting on, and then we'll continue the journey. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you again soon.